Hey everyone, thanks for watching. If you'd like to see more podcasts, such as Episode 8 with Dean Radin, podcasts that aren't associated with any particular HemiSync product, but simply feature fascinating people and subjects associated with the frontiers of consciousness research and understanding, please support our Patreon page and get some great discounts on HemiSync products in the bargain. Thanks for supporting the show. Hey, thanks for joining us for the Hemi-Sync podcast. Back today again with Dr. Scott Taylor, our first repeat visitor on the Hemi-Sync podcast.
I didn't realize.
Yes, first
All
one.
right.
So the episode 2 guest returns. For those of you that don't know Scott, he is a longtime, well-known veteran trainer at TMI, Monroe Institute. He is also associated with the Institute of how do you pronounce?
IANS, International Association for Near-Death Studies.
Yeah, so a noted near-death expert and the voice behind and the creative force behind the Into the Light series that we have produced now for a couple of years. In a previous life, Scott was also a senior executive for a large department store chain and continues to consult for small businesses. So Scott, welcome back. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
No.
It's fun being back again.
So Scott, even a casual observer could see in looking at the Into the Light series that there's a heavy emphasis on light and the different types of light you can encounter in these near-death states. And so this is maybe getting a little inside baseball for the listeners that are Monroe Institute students, but we tend to think more in terms of what are called focus levels or different types of combinations of vibratory frequencies that correspond to unique states of consciousness. How does light play into that?
When people have a near-death experience, they will encounter one of three different kinds of light. Either be black light, white light, or clear light. And the white light experience is the one that is really common on television, the white light at the end of the tunnel where there's this wonderful, exquisite light that you merge into. The clear light experience, which I had, was where you realize that you are in an environment where everything exudes the light. And you begin to realize that you are the light, and so is everything around you. The black light experience is one of nurturing. And one where you are held and not judged, and it's a place of compassion. Very often the people who experience it say it's the womb of God. So when we constructed this Into the Light series, that was the idea, that we would give people an experience of each one of these different kinds of light, because they have different flavors. You have a chance to have they each have a different kind of experience, and so we hope to give the people who put on the headphones, we want to be able to take them there.
Great. And just for the folks that are into the inside baseball, these exercises, these free flows, they really work with the higher focus levels. So we're starting from the state of no time, which is in the black light, and stepping all the way up to what is known as the park, which is one of the higher frequency levels that we have, and we have very few examples of this that are kind of available in commercial release. So can you tell us a bit about the park? What is the nature of the park?
The park is such a cool place. It is it's the area of life between lives. And so when we leave this physical existence, very often we will merge into the light and then move on to the park. And in this place we have the reception center, and there's healing and regeneration. This is where the Akashic records are. This is the place of the crystal cities. It's the area of all knowledge. All the professional centers are there. So if you're interested in law, medicine, dance, art, yada yada, they're all there. This is where we plan our incarnations and where we go to. The folks that are interested in all the dimensions that exist in the physical universe are there, and they're trying to figure things out. This is where we have a chance to look at our past and future and begin to realize that all of these lives that we have are one.
Yeah. And
we get to experience what it means to be outside of just this one life, and that we have all this range of experience. It's a vast area, and one that people really like.
Thanks for that. And in terms of using the Hemi-Sync, how do you find that helpful in accessing these different types of light that are associated with near-death experience and EDs?
So Hemi-Sync has this wonderful ability to be very specific and to get you to these areas. And so because it's easier to communicate, say, in the frequency of the white light. It's easier to get to source if you're in the black light. That heart space, you know, is wonderful for accessing that clear light where we are the love of the universe. And so Hemi-Sync has the ability to get us right in that groove, and then after that it's our intention that will guide us in the experience. So speaking of inside baseball, I need to talk to this for those of you out there that do lots of Monroe work. I very specifically do not use the words focus levels. What we use here on these CDs is some vibratory weights, but they have been tweaked a little bit from the normal focus levels. And if I said, you know, this experience was in focus X, all of a sudden, if you've done a bunch of work, you begin to recall every time that you've been in focus X, and now all of a sudden your experience is going to be front-loaded by what you've had. And so what I try to do is to use a new language, which is Vibratory Window, so that you don't have any idea what to expect, and you have no idea what focus level it is or what it's close to. And you can then approach this with a new mind, with a new sense of wonder and adventure, and wow, okay, Scott's putting me in the right vibratory window to go explore, and off we go. The only difference is when Bob Monroe was doing his work, and he discovered a place called the park. And the people who are in near-death experience, when you read the literature, it's, oh, I went to the park. I went to this place that has a park-like setting. So somebody who is interested in exploring the non-physical universe, Bob Monroe, he found the park, and near-death experiencers came up and they found the park. It's the same place. And so I will acknowledge that right up front, that
you're saying independently near-death experiencers.
Thank you.
Okay.
For that clarity. Yes, Bob and the experiencers came together and they said, oh, here's this place. And so it's another way of validation.
And I think that's really interesting because, while consciousness, and you may disagree with this and tell me if you do, but while consciousness is inherently subjective, as you're the disagreeing posture, while consciousness is inherently subjective, we do try to, and I use this term somewhat loosely, employ scientific methods in going about exploring these areas. And so the experience might be a bit different for different people, but when you have people from different backgrounds, different associations, coming across similar territory in these higher states of consciousness, that is confirming, from my perspective at least.
Well, it's no different than what we find in the near-death literature. People have all kinds of different experiences, and no two near-death experiences are alike, But when you take thousands of them
Yep.
and you read them and you start to plot out where they've gone and what they're doing, there is a remarkable similarity.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, our work like this is the same.
Yeah.
Where we say, okay, we're going to take you to the park, we're going to take you to the white light, and people go, okay, and they have experiences that have a similar tone to them.
Mm-hmm.
Each one is individual and unique, but they are similar enough that we say, okay, that seems to be something that happens in the black light or the clear light. That is, and wonderful.
Yep.
Yep. So we can use science like what we do with HemiSync to take us to this place, and then beyond that, it's our intention to do this thing, whatever that is, and then that's where the individuation comes in.
So the other notable thing about these exercises is that they're all free flows, meaning that they have very limited guidance. And just kind of as an aside, I think they're among I think they are the best free flows we're going to have out there currently on offer. So good job, Scott.
Yeah, thank you.
Why is free flow exercise so important?
Thank you for that question. When I did the first album in this series, which was Near-Death Experience Meditations, they were all teaching CDs, giving people the tools they need to explore the non-physical universe. And the feedback I got was somewhat humbling. Scott, quit yapping in my ear. Can I please have more time to do this work on my own? Now that I know what to do, can I just let me go do it?
Yeah.
And so that's what this is. This is a companion CD to that very first album. And that very first album is a lot of white light and a lot of park. That's the two places that we take people. But as long as we were making a CD, an album, we might as well include black light and clear light. So in one swoop, you have all of the lights that will give you the experience of being able to go to the elements of a near-death experience. And now that I've been doing these albums for a number of years, I've discovered that there are certain languaging that works better than others.
Yeah.
And there's a very limited amount of intro just to remind you what to do. And then on the back end, there's an outro. And that's, I think it's critically important, because coming out of these experiences, we want to be sure that you're grounded and that you have the ability to remember and to be to carry with you those energy patterns that you would like to have with you, and to cut off the ones that you don't, that aren't useful in everyday life. So we do both. We kind of remind you at the beginning, it's very short, and then at the end we bring you back nice and gently with an affirmation that is designed to bring you fully back into the physical world, and to be able to function and remember what came out of that experience.
Gotcha. And so while the intro and the outro are brief, the manual that comes with it is actually fairly extensive. Why is that?
Well, this is a free flow, right? And essentially nothing happens. It's this lovely space, and you're in there's some music in there to kind of get you in the right mood, and then you move off into HemiSync, and it's just the HemiSync tones with a little bit of pink noise to remind you that it's there. But you have this lovely, clean experience. And if you're not used to having a long stretch where there seemingly nothing is happening, it's helpful to have some guidance. And so with the manual that comes with it, I give you lots of ideas about what you can do and how you can be guided through this experience. And so it's just a reminder and a whole list of possibilities, so that you can go back over and over again and explore different aspects of the light.
And yeah, I get the sense that the structure and layout of these exercises are informed by your own view of reality, your concept of the universe. Is that accurate, and how does that kind of play into this?
Thank you for that question. I am I want to be upfront with saying that I have a particular belief about how the universe works, and it kind of shows up and in this work, and you might as well know what it is, and that is that I believe that as beings, both physical and non-physical, that we exist on many planes simultaneously. And so what we're doing in these exercises is to say, okay, right now I'm going to focus on the physical universe, and then I'm going to focus on that part of me that exists in the black light, or that part of me that exists in clear light, or the part of me that exists in the park or in white light and beyond even there, so that what we're doing is remembering that we have all of these different aspects of ourselves that are already there. And what we're doing then is not actually going there, but we're remembering that we can access this at any moment. And part B of that is that when we do this, we don't have to go anywhere. All of the universe is available inside us. So we can just shift, and we're there. And once you understand that, it makes everything so much easier. It's like, I don't have to go to this mythical place of white light. It's already within me. So I just adjust my vibratory level. I change the focus of my attention, and I'm there. And once you get kind of the hang of it, it's like, wow, this is so cool. And it's so easy. And so that's what I'm trying to get across, that this isn't a mountain of effort. This is just us remembering who we are in our non-physical state, and who we are outside of this physical existence, which we've chosen to inhabit for a little while, and then we move on.
And so what if someone experiences a sense of movement in accessing these states? How would you position that? How would you process that?
Yeah. So when we encounter a new energy level, say we're moving into the black light, and so we're in physical consciousness right now, we're right here in the physical world, and we're moving to the black light. Very often when our physical body encounters a new vibration, it processes it as a sense of movement. So I'm, this is, off I go. Well, after a while, you begin to realize that I really didn't go anywhere.
No.
It was just like a shift here, and that sense of movement diminishes. So if people are using these free flows, after a while, they'll begin to realize that this sense of movement, whether it's outward, whether it's inward, whether there's a sense of shift that exists within inside of our physical body, those tend to diminish as we learn that the access is all right here, and it's just a different way of thinking, meaning that we just put our focus on a different vibratory level and a different vibratory window, and poof, we're there. So my sense is that it's not actually a real thing, but it's how we interpret it at the beginning to give us kind of a sense of, we're making the change. And then once we know what the change is like, we, all right, been there, done that.
So you think it's more of a thing where our conscious mind is just trying to make sense of this shift in frequency?
Yeah, exactly.
That's interesting. And so in doing these exercises, what is the ultimate goal?
Oh, thank you. So I started out this work by wanting people kept saying with my presentations, I would like to have a near-death experience. And of course they say, no, please don't, because what that means is that, your body has this huge physical trauma. No. We don't want to go there. But what we would like to do is to have the experience without the physical trauma. And during my research, what I discovered was that people who are in deep meditation will have near-death experiences. Now, it's not common, but it happened enough times that I began to put two and two together and to say, well, shoot, HemiSync is awesome at leading people through meditation. Let's take them to the places that near-death experiencers go to when they have this experience.
Mm-hmm.
So can we meet our guide, our escort from when we leave our physical body? Can we have an experience of the tunnel? Can we go and have a reunion with our dead relatives? Absolutely. Can we meet divine beings or beings of light that will help us and guide us as we go through our past life review? How do we meet the folks that are tasked with the idea of putting together this, helping us put together the life and the physical?
Mm-hmm.
And you know, it's really nice to check in with them and say, how am I doing? Are there any resources I need for this next phase?
Right.
You know, they go, yeah, you know, do this, go there. It's amazing. So anyway, yeah, we have all of these places available to us, and I want people to be able to experience it without the physical trauma.
Yeah.
And so it's lovely.
So it's really getting the sense of how we really are multidimensional beings without the physical trauma.
Yep. And so once you do this, and you've made this trip, and you know who the people are, and you know that are your guides, and you know what it's going to be like when you go through the tunnel and meet the dead relatives, and you do all this, what happens then is all of a sudden you start to lose your fears.
Yeah.
Because you go, well, the next phase of my life is going to be just wonderful.
Yeah.
I know exactly what's going to happen.
Yeah.
So let's just drop all those.
Yeah.
That means that I can be here in the physical, this wonderful gift of being in the physical, and then live it fully to become more of who we are, that we might have forgotten parts of ourselves that we can draw upon. Let's live life more fully here.
Right. Be
here now and just enjoy all of the wonders that is being in the physical.
Right. And just to kind of expand on that, you know, you dropped letting go of your fears, kind of as like a nice ancillary benefit. But I would invite listeners to really look into what motivates your actions from the time you get up in the morning, throughout the day, to the time you go to bed at night. I'll bet most of it, in some way, if you really look into it, is motivated by fear.
So let's make the shift.
Yeah, let's make the shift.
Yeah, you know, all of these states are designed to get us to be have access to the love that is the universe, you know, because that is the thing.
Yeah.
The love is the thing that is the foundational web of the universe. And so why not come from there? It changes all of what we do and how we act and what the interrelationships are. And it's such a great place to fill out, to be able to say that we are coming from a spot of love, and that changes all our relationship. It changes who we are, not only in ourselves, our family, our community, and let's hope we spread more of that.
Absolutely. And so in getting to these states and having these types of breakthrough experiences, what role do affirmations play for you? I know some people think they're tiresome and pablum, but you seem to think that they work, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, those of you that are Bob Monroe fans may remember in his books he described when he was first doing out-of-body experiences, the universe was a barren place. And then he picked up this affirmation from Edgar Cayce, and he said, well, shoot, why don't we give this a try?
Yeah.
And as soon as he and his explorers decided to start using an affirmation on the front end of their experience, the universe was filled with all kinds of entities that wanted to communicate.
Yeah. And
so I view the affirmation as like a calling card to be able to say to the universe, this is who I am. This is who I want to be in contact with. These are the kind of relationships that I would like to have happen to me, and the ones that I don't, you're not invited.
Yeah.
So, excuse me. And so it puts on it, we establish our boundaries.
Yeah.
And to be able to go, okay, this is the kind of being that I am. This is the kind of things I understand, so communicate with me in a way that I understand. And then we add to that our intention, and then off we go.
Yeah.
and it makes traveling so much easier, and it makes communication with the kinds of beings and guides that we would like to have so much easier, because before they interact with us, they know from our vibration, they know from our affirmation, same thing, what to expect, and so they reciprocate.
Mm-hmm. Thanks for mentioning intention, because I think that's especially important in going into a free flow. You can really tend to drift if you don't set an intention beforehand. So,
intention is one of those. It's you know, when we do one, we say, I would like to meet my guide.
Yeah.
I would like to have a conversation with my guide. It's like an invitation.
Mm-hmm.
It just says, hi, here we are. Would you please come?
Mm-hmm.
And you know, the universe is a reactive place.
Yeah.
What we put out is what comes back. And so it's incumbent upon us to put it out there in a way that they understand and they can respond in kind.
Yeah.
And that just makes everything so much easier.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. And so there's very little guidance again. But when you say go with what you get, what do you mean by that?
So I train a lot of these workshops, and so the instruction I give people is, okay, so at the beginning I tell you to breathe, you know, do deep breathing, and that's designed to relax the body, release any tension so that we aren't carrying that around with us. And so during this deep breathing, what if all of a sudden there's an angel that sits on the end of your bed?
Ignore it?
And says, hey, I've got some information that you need to know. Can we talk?
Yeah, maybe you should go with what you get.
And what we don't want to have happen is for you to say, oh, no, I'm sorry, Scott tells me that I'm supposed to be deep breathing right now. No. It's like, what the instructions that are on this CD, and all of them are just suggestions. And so, you know, if that angel shows up, go with the angel. You wanted an experience, here it is. Go with it. And truly, in this one or in any of the CDs, if I'm yapping in your ear and you're having an experience, this angel shows up, your grandmother shows up, take the headphones and flip them off and stay with the experience. These states are not that fragile. So you can hang in them for quite a while and be with the angel, and then when you're done communicating and finding out what you need to know, put the headphones back on and continue on. Please go with what you get.
Yeah, good. So we've talked about affirmation, intention, going with what you get. Now, there's a similar thing that might seem similar to what we've discussed, this concept of I want. But I want is actually a little bit different, isn't it?
It is. So you have an intention and you say, well, I want to do out of body, or I want to visit my grandmother Jenny. What we need to realize is that all of these lights in the park exist outside of time. And so the entities up there don't really get this sense of I want, because that means future. I want to do something in the future. And so what happens is you say, I want to meet my grandmother Jenny. And so they give you exactly what you request. They give you the wanting. And so you can spend years, I spent years wanting, you know, I want to have an out-of-body experience. I want to visit, you know. And like one day as I woke up, I went, we're outside of time. If I put my request in the present tense, wow. And
big impact.
Boom, everything just opened up. And I went, oh, really? Why didn't somebody tell me this? Well, I'm telling you. Do it. Place your request in the present tense. I am visiting with my grandmother Jenny. And all of a sudden you're there. It's not any harder than that. And so don't do the painful thing that I did, all right? Just put it in the present tense and go.
So when you get into these non-physical spaces, what are the various ways you can explore?
Thank you. Yeah, this is a good one. For me, my favorite is to invite my guide. and we do this kind of as a joint adventure. Guides live in this space all the time, and they know where things are, and they know how to communicate with different kinds of entities, some that have been physical, not physical. They just know the road. And so you're going up there and you're saying, wow, I want to do back to my grandmother. I want to go visit my grandmother. Well, they know where, you know, Grandma Jenny lives.
Yeah.
And they can take you right there.
Mm-hmm.
And in places that you don't know how to get to, they can be really helpful. So I invite people to go with their guidance. Intention's another one. By having a clear intention, you can go by yourself. Mm-hmm. You don't need a guide. You can just say, I intend to do this. And that's a really powerful way. There's, help me out here. Oh, there's the...
letting it happen.
And the other one that I find really effective, especially if you have a good imagination, is that you imagine a scene that you want to go be with. Say you want to visit the signing of the Declaration of Independence in Philadelphia in 1776. Mm-hmm. So in your mind, you know, take a picture you've seen and you create that scene, and then you step into that scene, and at some point the scene takes on an aliveness. And so you kind of say, this is where I want to go, this is my intention, I'm creating a little box, boom, and you inhabit it. And by using that imagination, is like primes the pump.
Yeah.
And tells the universe what you want, and all of a sudden you realize that that person just moved and you didn't intend that. That's how you know that you've stepped beyond imagination and you're now into this scene. And the last way to explore is like what you mentioned, just kind of let it happen.
Yeah.
Just put it out there that I would like to have an experience that's, you know, for my best benefit at this time and place in my life, kind of thing, and just see what unfolds. That's great for one of those days when you're just kind of like, whatever, just let it go. And excuse me, you can have marvelous adventures, things you would never even think of. Speaking of which, guides do that all the time to me. I want to do this thing, and they all go,
yeah,
nope, Scott, not happening. I got something else you really need to do, and we're gonna do that first. Off I go.
So you're going with what you got.
I go in with what I got.
Yeah.
The guide says, I got your back. This is what you need to do first.
Yeah.
Okay, fine, lovely. I trust. You know,
Yeah.
It's been all these years, and I trust my guide absolutely. So it makes it easy.
That makes sense. And so after you've had an experience, how do you effectively capture it?
Yeah, you spend a lot of time and energy trying to have an experience, and when you come out of it, not unlike the people who do dream work, it can dissipate. And so a couple of easy things is, you grab your phone and press record, and as the experience is happening, you can talk into it. You don't have to use full sentences, but you can use like little phrases. And like I mentioned before, these states aren't that fragile. So when you say something, you're still in state. You don't.
Back into it. Yeah.
I don't think you even ever leave it.
Yeah.
Same thing. Having a sheet of paper by your side with a pen or pencil, and you write at the same time. That's easy to do. Or at the beginning, maybe you just want to do it after you come out of the experience and capture everything that you have happened, and especially draw pictures, use words. But a technique that I found that's really helpful is that you start with the last thing that you experienced, and then you back up and said, what happened just before that? And then you back up and say, what happened just before that? And that again. Because what I found for me and a lot of the people that I work with that are trying to learn this thing is that if you're the last thing that happened, you can capture that and you say, okay, at the beginning I was here, and they start writing that down, and all of a sudden, poof, the middle disappears.
Yeah.
And like, I don't know why it's like that, but it happens to a lot of people. So that technique of starting at the back and just moving backwards, you tend to catch the whole thing.
Great. Well, Scott, we've covered quite a bit of material today. Thanks for talking with us about free flow meditation. Hope you guys liked it. If you did, please share it up, like it. You can ask a question in the comments or give us a review. We'll try to respond. And until then, we'll see you next time. Thanks.
Thanks for watching.